It's not often that Dave and I get to speak with not just one, but two incredibly accomplished land investors. In the past year, both Xing Gao and Drew Finger have quit their day jobs because, well, they weren't a good use of time compared to the land business. Not only are their individual businesses taking off like juggernauts, they've joined forces along with a third investor to develop syndications of larger tracts with seven-figure price tags. With incredible generosity, Xing and Andrew hold nothing back in this conversation, offering deep insights and advice to aspiring and experienced land investors alike.
What did you say?
I said, Howard, how's the weather?
Spring has sprung. It's t-shirt weather. I love it. I see you got, yeah, you're wearing your fleece, so I mean, you're all the way down practically on the Mexican border, and you're still wearing long sleeves.
I'm already regretting it, actually. That's him. Look, he's got the vest on top.
Yeah, it's perfect here, though.
I feel really comfortable. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, welcome to the Land.MBA podcast. Gosh, so we are here in Houston area. We got Andrew Finger and I got Xing Gao. And my co-host here, Howard Zonder, is stuck in Connecticut. But I hear it's pretty nice there these days.
We're having some sweet weather. I'm sure it'll change.
Nice, nice.
It is the Northeast, after all.
You and poor Lucas.
Yeah, up in Maine.
Up in Maine, yeah.
I don't know. Maine's nice in the summertime. You get like almost a month and a half of really sweet weather up there.
Exactly. I think I've been maximizing it, man. You know, I spent all my winter in Arizona, and I'm heading back to Denver next week.
Right. Yeah, so you're basically living the life of a snowbird, or as we like to call it, old people.
That's right. Well, hey, I did turn 55 this a couple weeks ago. So, you know, I'm an old person now. I can get into the 55 and over RV park.
Yeah, you've got your ARP card.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, guys, we call you the nomads.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right, Grasshopper.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, hey, let's get into it. Guys, I think, just want to have a conversation. You guys are like really successful land flippers, land investors. And, we talk quite a bit, so I know a lot about your story, but I'd love for you guys to just share with our audience your entrepreneurial story. And you can just, whichever one of you, if you want to start, Andrew, and then Xing,
sure.
Do yours, but from your career and what just kind of your journey and what led you into land investing, and your struggles along the way and how you got to where you are now.
Man, I did the corporate route first, right? I've been a finance manager in oil and gas, I think for like 14 years. So I got like a business degree at school. I was like, am I gonna do business or am I gonna do psychology? And I decided I didn't want to listen to other people's problems, so I went business. And I worked in construction accounting and then oil and gas out of school. And I mean, I've always been, I took like courses. I wanted to build a business. I've always wanted to, but it just, you need capital to do it. And I don't think in this business, you need a ton of capital to start out. You could really start out real small. I mean, Xing and I were talking in the car the other day. I think some of the first deals he's done were like $100 lots. So he's the man on that. But yeah, I started managing a team in oil and gas, and I it just burned me out. I didn't enjoy it. It got to a point where it's transactional accounting. I'm not invested in how their company builds. I had a team, and I think that we did a lot of good work together, and we had a lot of trust and everything. But over time, you want to build something for yourself, and that's just natural. And it's happiness, man. I mean, I love being able to sit at home in my underwear and work all day.
There's a visual we probably didn't need, but thanks for that.
All right.
Oh,
You can't see these actually in his underwear now.
Oh, he's one of those. He's like, he's got his boxers on below, but he looks all professional from the waist up.
That's typical Zoom. Get that.
Actually, he's got the tidy whities going. So
Yeah, I don't want to hear about three guys sitting outside of Xing's house wearing tidy whities.
stand up. Come on.
I'm fine for this, man.
But yeah, so a lot of people that I hear on podcasts and Xing came from he guess he'll tell you, but he did Land Geek. I guess that's how he kind of found it. And then over time, of course, I found Howard, right, and Land Speed. I saw RE Tipster podcast, and that's how I found it. And I started researching it, because I always want to do something in real estate, but I started reading from an author, John Reed. He writes a lot of real estate books, and he had one, How to Buy Real Estate 20% Below Market Value. And the title of that book makes me chuckle today because
By 80.
oh my
How about
gosh,
20% of market value?
I think we have a standard. We're just, there's like, you need triple digit ROI percentage for us to do the deal. I mean, these days, I mean, that's just, it's funny. But in that book, there was this section about land investing from this guy that wrote a book back in the 60s and 70s. And he was like a local land investor in Houston. And he talked about how he goes about purchasing land, subdividing it, what due diligence he does, all this stuff. It was not the level of detail that in the land speed community that we go into, but it was enough to get started. So that man passed away. His son's alive, and I found his son living in Houston, and I wrote him a letter. And I was like, "Can I come watch what you do? Can I come learn what you're doing?" And then he basically wrote an email back to me and said, "Who are you? Why are you bothering me?" Very, very much like that. And then I was kind of like, I told him the truth. I was like, "I'm trying to learn. This is what I want to do." And then he said, "Well, I do this business even better than my dad did. If you want to see what I do, come over here on this parcel of this day." And I did. I drove out there, went out on his property, and he was building roads, clearing paths in this property, flipping it in counties around Houston. And so that's how I started out. I didn't do any of the programs. I just learned from him. And then I started reading RE Tipster, and I learned a lot more when I started reading RE Tipster. And then I saw the Land Speed podcast, and then I started doing the smart bar calls, and then the light turned on, supposedly, for me anyway. And that it helped me organize how you do deal flow, how it goes from point A to point B. And then just the rest from there, get to a point where you do enough, where you can get enough capital to make the leap, and then you just do it. I'm sure a lot of people do it part-time, and that's how I started out. I didn't go head first full-time into it. I did part-time till I felt comfortable, but I'm more of a careful person. I'm less of a risk taker than other people. So I probably took too long to get going, but I think he got going pretty quick. I think once he started figuring out how to do it, and
Yeah.
we both quit our full-time jobs last year.
Yeah,
I think we both
exactly.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been about a calendar year now since we did.
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah.
Pretty much. So that's how we got here. Or I guess that's how I got here.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's great. That's great.
So my story is actually similar to Drew's. I also went through the corporate ladder. I was working for a large e-commerce company in Shanghai. At that time, I was leading the strategy department. At that time, I was working really, really long hours. I enjoy the work a lot. I really like e-commerce. I know all the marketing, all the sales, how to convert customers, how to attract customers. However, I was working, say 9 a.m. in the morning, all the way until midnight, until 2 a.m. sometimes. So I was really taking a toll on my health and also on my family life. So at that time, I was thinking what I should do. So I was working my full-time job and also looking for alternative income streams, like a side gig at that time. And I happened to found land investing through one of the training programs out there. And when I start trying it out, I started in a very small deals. I purchased for maybe $100, $200, $300, and then I use some of my knowledge in e-commerce to do, I know at the very beginning that I need to focus a lot on internet marketing, because when I see real estate combining with internet marketing, I really know how that powerful is. So when I sell, I don't typically sell at discounted price. I sell at retail price. Sometimes I even sell it at higher than retail price. And I know that's where the major profit is. So I buy at a huge discount, I sell it at a slightly higher retail price. So that's how I structure the whole business model. So I was working my full-time job, and then at night when I get back, I would spend time to build up the website, to build up the marketing influence and all those. And then later it grew to a size that I feel very comfortable to leaving my full-time job. And I also want to give a little bit credit to Landspeed Powers program, because before that, I was actually, and when I first started, I was like handwriting envelopes, printing all the letters out. And now like 200, 300 batches at a time. That I also had my father, my mother help me to organize all those, to send out letters. It was a nightmare. And then similar to Drew, I stumbled upon Seth Williams' RE Tipsters podcast, where Howard was introducing Landspeed. So I thought that's pretty cool, and I got the whole system set up, and it really reduced my overall workload and improved my efficiency on the mailing and also on intake of the properties. So that was very helpful, and so I do want to give you credit for that. And with that, since my productivity improved significantly, I'm able to achieve a much better income from the land gig, and that lead to and then the community of the Smart Bar also put us together, that we talk about. It was really helpful for me at the beginning, that I have a whole bunch of questions that I don't know how to handle, and these guys and everyone in the Smart Bar, we had the weekly call, and that kind of resolved a lot of my questions. And then the Facebook group is also helpful, not only the Landspeed Facebook group, but also RE Tipster Facebook group. They were also very helpful. A lot of people were answering very serious questions at a very complete structure, and I learned a ton from there. And that's how my business got take off. And then later on, Drew and I, and also Dave, we were thinking, hey, what else we can do? Then that led to us to look into not only just buying and selling individual land parcels. We want to look into a higher level. We want to look into the larger deals. And we buy a larger deal, much larger acreage, usually in the hundreds of acreage. And then we subdivide it, and we sell the individual parcels. And that idea kind of came to me when I was doing the county research. I noticed the major difference in the price tier. So when you are selling the smaller lots, the price is a lot higher than per acre wise than the larger lots. So I see a price arbitrage over there. And then I discussed the idea with all these guys, and also we have a third partner, Lucas, and that's what lead to, we are very successful in buying and selling, flipping the land, but also we are getting into a much larger scale and buying a large tract and then subdivide it and sell a subdivision. So that's how we kind of met and also talk about it. And because Drew is also in Houston, so at that time I was working in Shanghai, but come back to the US quite a few times a year. And then every time I come back, I would say, hey, let's get a lunch, talk about land business. And that's how we get started. And then we first partner on some smaller deals together. And that's not related to the subdivision, but just buying and selling land. And then the trust start to build, and we get to know each other's business a lot more. And then when we run into challenges in some of our own land transactions, we brainstorm each other to figure things out. So that's how the relationship gets built. So I thought that's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That is awesome. I always, when I get on calls with people at the beginning and they're like, what does it take to succeed in this business? I always say, well, it takes three things. It takes education, tools, and community. And that's true of this business, or really for any business for that matter. And and actually to just have two of them is not enough. You really need all three. And you really nailed it. Both you guys really just nailed it with that. It's just, you can get the education, you can get the good tools, but a big part of it is building that community, both the macro community that you might get on the Landspeed Facebook group or the RE Tipster Facebook group, but also building your micro community, which you've built, between yourselves and with Lucas and some other folks in the Houston area. So kudos to you. That's just absolutely awesome. One of the things that Dave and I try to do on this podcast is we try to not just talk about newbie concepts. We want to make it really meaty, and we want people to walk away from these podcasts with at least one big. Excuse me. I'm all excited and choked up.
You're doing
This part.
But really walk away with some big aha from it, saying I learned something really important. And you said something, Xing, that just totally caught my attention, because I'm not doing it. So what I'm typically doing is I'm trying to, I always say that, the success in the land business is really all about buying. You've got to buy low in order to make those margins that you want. If you're buying low, even if it's a crap property, even if you screw it up, you're going to make money, but if you buy low and it's a good property, you're going to make a lot of money. Yeah. But what I also typically do myself is I typically price my properties around 80% of retail, because I want them to sell fast, because there's so much benefit in just the velocity of money. How many times can I turn over my money per year? And what you said is that you're selling for retail and sometimes more than retail. And what that leads me to believe is that you've cracked the code on something with e-commerce that allows you to attract a different set of buyers than a traditional land investor would be going after. I don't know, but that's an assumption on my part. So could you just elaborate on this? I mean, so if you're charging retail or more, one, are you still getting similar kind of time to sell? And so what's making your experience different?
In terms of time to sell, I would say it's probably about the same for my business and also for the other land investors' business. I think it's more about reach and brand building.
Yeah.
That, in my opinion, is able to attain that premium. So, for example, I built my own website using WooCommerce, right? So WordPress plus WooCommerce is the foundation of my website. And I leverage quite a lot of different automation plugins for WooCommerce. So WooCommerce is a full e-commerce suite for pretty much anything that you want to sell. So my website is not using any of the land templates out there in the industry, but I just use a standard e-commerce template or platform. And by using some of the industry plugins, I'm able to, once I list something, I list a land parcel as a product. So when a new product gets listed, a new parcel gets listed, it automatically push to, for example, all the social media platforms. Facebook gets pushed to Twitter, gets pushed to LinkedIn, gets to push to Humble. It auto push everything out there. So, and also I really focus on having good photos and good videos. And those are the main content to drive the e-commerce traffic. Because when other people see a beautiful feature land photo on the internet, they're curious. They would click it and see what it is. When they see a nice video production talking about the property itself, talks about the surroundings, activities, and have the satellite view rotating surrounding to look at the property, they would be interested in learning more about the product, which is our land parcels. So I think it's more about the reach, the content, the quality of the content, and that kind of drive the traffic. And then when you establish yourself as a name brand out there, that people would remember it and also recognize it, and the trust start to build in. So the reach would attract traffic, and the trust and the brand building would do the conversion. So that's how everything integrates into this.
Very nice. I love it. I've learned a lot from you on that just in my visit. I want to just add one thing though to the three things that you need with education, tools, and community. For anybody out there who is new or is considering coming into land investing, there's a fourth very critical environment that's all on you, and that is persistence. Because I don't care if you have all of the things we mentioned.
Yep.
It's not easy. It's work, and you will have challenges. You will have bumps in the road. You will have failures. You'll have mailers that go crappy, that you get skunked on. You have to just keep putting A plus B equals C together and be persistent and keep at it. And that is what separates the people in this business who are successful and those who are not, because we all go through ruts, but the people that stay at it and keep working it, they get past that 3 feet from gold scenario and they don't quit. You get there's a lot of people in this business that flame out when things get hard. They quit. They think it's going to be, easy, because Podolsky says you can make 10 grand a month in 6 months, and that's bullshit. So next up.
Yeah, I mean, to build on that too, I mean, like, when I was starting out, I was discouraged because I was doing one county and not handwriting, but printing them, and then, manually putting stamps and making it handwritten. And that's just such a nightmare. If you listen to enough podcasts, you'll hear that, 500 letters is simply not enough. And one county is not enough. I mean, he just said skunking counties. I mean, I'd say today I try to rotate around, say, like 7 or 8 counties. I'll try to do at the same time. And those may be across different states, different metropolitan centers. And, I'll skunk out on half of them because the competition's different, because there's a perception in the eyes of the sellers that the market is hot and that they need to sit on it. That happens plenty of times.
Mm-hmm.
But where I've been successful is, okay, I flame out the county, right? Maybe the surrounding counties are better. And then you do that, you're another half an hour away from a major metropolis, and all of a sudden, oh, I'm getting deals left and right. And in the eyes of an e-commerce buyer, what's the difference between 15 minutes and 30 minutes out of town?
That is such an important and insightful comment. I have this advantage just because through land speed, through the customer base, and through the smart bars, I hear what everybody, what a lot of people are doing. Not everybody, but what a lot of people are doing. And the ones that are invariably the most successful are almost dispassionate in how they look at their business, right? So if they have a really big up, they don't get super excited. If they have a really big down, they don't get really depressed about it. They're always just sort of looking at it from a curiosity perspective. And they're saying, okay, if I'm having a really up there, why am I getting that up there, and how can I reproduce it? And if they're getting a real low there, they don't get depressed about it. They say, all right, let me understand it. Let me ask some critical questions. How do I need to shift strategy now? And so, whereas there are some people who perhaps they don't come from your finance background or Xing strategy background, and they hit that downside and they don't really know where to go from that because they just keep hammering the same strategy over and over again, and it's just not working because they're not challenging and asking the curious questions to say, how do I need to make the shift now to get where it needs to go?
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And diversity is another important tenet of that too, because I mean, you can very well be successful in one county, even one neighborhood. And I have competitors that do exactly that model, and they're only in that one neighborhood. But I think a big part of it too is diversity of problems with your properties. I mean, everybody's going to struggle with, I can't get a property moved. I mean, my worst ones, I'd say, have taken 12 months, to move. But when I say diversity of problems, don't have I try to avoid, like in my own portfolio, avoid having like 5 properties that have a trash neighbor adjoining the lot, right? Try to have maybe 1 or 2 like that if you can get a great deal. And then another one's got some slopage. I don't want all properties that have some slopage, I mean, then that's when you can tend to get stuck. You know, this is all about due diligence too, which is an important concept to master. And in my opinion, the top concept to master in the business, because you can send enough letters and buy right. It'll happen. You'll find the counties and it'll happen. But the due diligence is important because you don't want to get a skunker. And it's going to happen. You're going to get skunkers, but try to have some diversity of issues, diversity of features, diversity of views. That's been helpful for me.
Diversity in locations,
Diversity in location.
diversity in price points,
Yeah.
Yeah.
diversity in size.
Yeah. Not every buyer has the same amount of coin in their purse.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that diversity is going to open you up a larger pool of buyers.
Yep.
Diversity of buyers. You know, all of these point to a really similar point. You talking about, you know, being diverse and mailing different places, trying different places. Xing and I were having this conversation last night, and to where, you know, so many people, when they first come into the business, they think that those of us who have been doing it a while, or the so-called gurus, have these secret counties, you know, and we're not divulging it. And
The secret counties are the most saturated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when we first started. You know, I started in 2016 in one of the popular programs, and they had their secret county list. You know, like number 1, Costilla County, Colorado. Number 2, Elko County, Nevada. I mean, these are big secrets, right?
A lot of people who bought those secret counties.
Yeah.
You know, but the point is, there's no secret county. Sometimes it just comes down to timing and luck. But the thing is, you just got to get started, and you got to keep mailing, and that's got to be your, you know, the biggest part of your budget. And that's really what it is. And you're going to fail sometimes, and you're going to hit it out of the park sometimes. But there's no secret counties, guys. You know, there's just not.
And they change over time.
And they change over time. And like I said, you might hit it 1 month and skunk out. Then Drew might come behind me and hit it. And there's, you know, half a dozen people who have life changes, and now they're motivated. And so he got all the deals that month.
We literally have a county between the two of us that I finished it up 3 years ago, and you came back into it in Texas.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So it happens. And so this is kind of like I guess timber cutting, right? The trees will grow back.
Yeah. Yeah. Life. It's about, because it's so much different than houses, right? People live in a house. They're attached to it. You know, they might be in trouble. You might be mailing the pre-foreclosure list or the probate list or whatnot, but you have a lot of different circumstances and emotion. But, you know, the biggest deal, they're living in it. So with land, it's, you know, it's about the situation more so, and they're detached from it. They might live on the other side of the country. So, I mean, we all know that, but just for our listeners' perspective, it's a very different mindset. And you know, somebody might be holding on that piece of land thinking, you know, I bought it 30 years ago. I'm not going to sell it for 3 times less than I paid for it. And they just don't realize the market. But then next month they have a big, you know, financial issue, and they need that $3,000 you offered them. So they either take the next guy's offer, or they kept your letter and they call you and say, yeah, let's do the deal.
So how frequently do you guys remail to the same county?
Never. Pretty much. I'm wrong about that. I did one remail to a specific subdivision that I do a lot of work in, and I noticed my competition was increasing. I noticed a couple of investors were in there, so I flooded it really quickly to just take it all. So that was a remail I did, and I upped the offer because I knew what they were offering. So I just went a little bit above it, and I just flooded it.
Did it do well?
Yeah. I mean, because, well, it's a unique situation because of the unique features there. Because I have people that can do work that live in the neighborhood, so it's a very unique situation.
Gotcha.
But there's unique situations everywhere.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You just got to know what you want, what you're looking for.
And you discover them sometimes just as you go. You know, you start mailing, and you can get a customer that sells to you and said, by the way, you know, I have this other property. Or, you know, as you're doing due diligence, you learn about what's going on in that area sometimes.
Mhm.
It's not necessarily that you know, did some magical research and figured it out.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's another perspective, and I learned this from another land speeder a while back too. But you know, start with the buyer in mind. You know, I can't stress enough how important that is. And as Howard
Yes.
has said many times, solve somebody's problem, right? So just imagine how many people are out there that are like families and they want like a little piece of land, you know, to just to have. They may not even have a plan yet. They just want it because it's an asset, you know. And you know, when you got the government spending trillions of dollars every day, hey,
Yeah.
it'd be nice to hold on to something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that holds its value.
But a family comes with a mother, a father, and children. So what problems are they going to have when they look at a piece of land? I don't know about the title. If this guy's on the internet, I don't know if I can trust you. And they go out and drive and look at it. Well, it's just a bunch of dirt and trees. There's nothing done to it. I can't see it. Let's move on. You know, think about all the different things that buyers can object to and try to solve around that. And then in the ad body, you know, people spend a lot of time like, look at this gorgeous panoramic, blah, 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 with adjectives. I mean, that's nice and cool and fancy. But when you start rattling off in bullet points all the problems you've solved and the work you've done and the research and blah, 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 and then you start attaching files to it, you start attaching videos to it and 360 lookarounds and all the different mappings. And once you start rattling that stuff off, you know, when they're sitting there at 10 o'clock at night in front of the TV on their iPad, looking at listings on Zillow, you know, or whatever, and they see stuff like that rattles off all those different things, you stand out. So that's the raw content that makes you a step above the realtor that's going to get a tiny commission off this. Yeah.
Hey, folks, people often talk about automating and outsourcing your land flipping business, but what does that really mean? Generic solutions leave it to you to figure out how to set up and maintain the automations. I've been running my land business on LandSpeed for over 3 years because it's a total solution and allows me to focus on being a great land investor. LandSpeed was built specifically for land investing by a land investor. And with many of the most successful people in the business using it for years, it's evolved into one of the most feature-rich solutions on the market. Some of the key benefits I get are being able to create and manage mail campaigns and neighbor letters. I'm able to automate tasks amongst my team, create contracts and deeds, and email, text, or mail them within a few clicks. I can automatically capture sales leads from any lead source, including Facebook Messenger. Then it automatically pushes those leads into my sales funnel so that I can manually follow up, but they also go into my automated drip campaign. And since LandSpeed's a total cloud-based solution, I can run my business from anywhere in the world with a phone, laptop, or tablet. So if you want to turn your hobby into a professional, scalable business, just go to landspeedtech.com/Dave to receive a $150 discount today.
I'm so glad you just said that, Drew, because it's something I really wanted to bring up. You know, back in the beginning of the millennium, I was in the telecom industry in a little startup. And one of our big customers was Sprint. And, you know, back in that day, Sprint was actually a pretty good company. And I don't know, they're part of T-Mobile now, but we were selling it to them and they had a rule. And I thought, you know, for a big company, this is a pretty good rule. And the rule was no matter what innovative concepts they came up with, they would not put $1 of investment into it until the product management people came up with a plan of who and how they were going to sell it. If they couldn't clearly indicate, okay, this is the market for it, and this is how we're going to sell it, they wouldn't invest in the development. And it's the same thing too. I mean, because you talked about the importance of the due diligence. And one of the things we rarely mention as part of due diligence is understanding that question. All right, I can see what the market value of this property is. I can see, you know, the volume of properties that are going in that area. So I can see kind of, you know, what the market size is. I can, you know, and I can do all the other due diligence to determine, you know, whether this property is, you know, safe or not safe to buy. But one of the really good questions to ask is, if I buy this property, who's my market? Who am I selling it to? What's my pitch? You know, because you mentioned it, Drew. It's like, you know, there are a lot of different buyers for different reasons. And the person who's going to buy, you know, a flat 5-acre scrub land in the San Luis Valley of Costilla County is different from somebody who's going to buy, mountainous land with trees on it to put a cabin on. It's just a different buyer entirely. So understanding that question is sort of a key at the front end.
Oh, totally.
Really great point.
I've to give you an example. I passed on a deal one time it was a great price, and it was awesome hunting land, and I love to hunt, and but that's a specific thing. And I've seen it sometimes too. People say, well, this is perfect for hunters, but you also have to ask, is it also perfect for people that want to build on it? Is it also perfect for someone that wants to pull in a mobile home or an RV? Is it also perfect for someone who wants to camp out? If it's specific to one niche too, you can also, I'm careful about that too. Can it meet more than one just niche, right? Because you don't want to shrink your market.
Exactly.
You want to have multiple kinds of people that would find a use for this. And on top of that, putting it out there on as many platforms as you can. That's another piece of wisdom is having it don't just pick one or two places. You need to have a lot of many channels.
And also listen to your buyers. Like, we constantly improve our listing. So when we hear multiple buyers asking the same question, we put the answer of that question on our listing. So for example, I'm pretty sure everyone is like, hey, is this a lot available for RV living? We keep hearing that, right? So if we turn that into our marketing standard, whenever we put a listing up, we have a sentence saying whether this property is available for RV living, whether this property is available for RV camping only, whether this land is restricted, no RV at all. We always have that standard. So for example, we keep hearing our buyers asking, hey, is this land in the flood zone? So we turn that into our marketing, another standard into our processes. We always have a bullet point saying, no, this is not in FEMA flood zone.
It almost makes me wonder whether, if you're starting out in this business
Mhm.
and you have limited capital, I almost wonder whether a smart way to go about it would be go buy some really cheap lots, get it out there on as many channels as you can, and then listen to your buyers' complaints.
Exactly.
That might be the best way to go if I had to start over again.
Learn by doing.
Learn by doing. Yeah.
When you
Well,
compare
there's just this great. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Xing.
now when you look at, for example, when you look at my very, very early listing, it's like very basic information, just like, oh, this is a great piece of land, beautiful mountain view, blah, 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 nothing else. And then when you look at our today's listing, we have very comprehensive information about that. So we have the property size, the zoning, the dimensions, floodplain usage, all the information, not only the land itself, we also have the surroundings. Is it nearby a beautiful lake? What are some of the national parks nearby? What are some of the hunting grounds nearby? So we have all those, like a comprehensive list. Once people read it, it also reduces our sales effort too.
Yeah.
When you have enough content, enough information, and also accommodate with beautiful photos, survey maps, boundary maps, all the GPS corners, then the marketing finish most of the sales already. And then our sales effort is reduced because we don't need to answer those repeated questions anymore.
Yeah.
It just went straight.
Except for those so many
What is the
customers
price?
that don't read.
Yeah, exactly.
What you offer financing?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's right there in the top line.
Page.
It's so funny when I was working at that startup. It was the company was started by a good friend of mine and one of his friends, and he was a brilliant guy. And one of the things he would always tell me, because I was the marketing guy, he would always say, Howard, I can't impress this upon you enough. People don't read. I don't care how wonderful it is. I don't care how excited you are about what you just wrote. People don't read. But the thing that, is interesting, and, you say, well, if people don't read, is it important to put that level of effort into your listing? I would argue it is.
Yes.
For the reason that Xing brought up earlier, because it's a form of branding. Because even if they don't read it, it's just reeks of credibility.
Yeah. Yep. And oftentimes I find, our best buyers are the people that read.
That do read,
That's
yeah.
nice.
And also because
Yes.
we use our, fully automated e-commerce platform, right? So sometimes we just like the orders just came in at night, and then in the morning, oh, some new orders came in. Great.
Oh
May
man,
may sell.
we had a realization the other day because I'm in the habit of when I get a buyer, I like to do a welcome call and call them and congratulate them, tell them who I am, and say, hey, I'm taking you through the close process and everything. And when I was explaining this process to Xing, he goes, oh, well,
Hold on.
you got a little bug? Yeah. Oh, nice.
Don't eat it.
Yeah, right. He said, oh, I never called them. And I said, what? And he said, yeah, I just handled all online with the email and I closed. And I was like mind blown. I was like, you don't even have to talk to him?
Yeah,
Really?
I know. I just talked to them. The order came in, I process it, send them a contract to sign. Oh, done.
That sounds like e-commerce.
I do the same way. I used to call them. Talk. Cool. Well, guys, this has been like such an awesome conversation. The marketing input that you guys have is I think very valuable to our audience. I'm really anxious though, because we're quickly getting close to our time here. I'm really anxious to learn about the latest things that you guys have been doing this past year or so with your large subdivides. You alluded to it a little bit in your stories, but I'd love to hear about Elegment Dream Acres and what you're doing and why it's so great, and and opportunities that certain people might have to work with you all.
Sounds good.
So go for it.
Want to take the lead?
Yeah, I guess well, like Xing was talking about, we started getting together and realizing that I guess a big driver for us was we're realizing that this business is going to get more competitive over time. So we needed an edge, and we realized if we combine our forces, so to speak, combine our brains and combine our capital, we can start chasing down some big things that may be out there, and you can just if we have a plan for it and it works, then we'll do it. One way that we've done it is looking at real estate listings and looking at what's been out there for a while, and then do we have a vision for it? What can we do with it? And then go after it. And I guess we've expanded now into 6 states, 7 states, something like that for now.
Yep.
One tenet with our subdivision projects that we really look into is, like we said, the features and all the different pieces, but that I guess for us, some things we've learned, right? I guess to meat on the bone, is all the different county resources when you're investigating these big properties like this. One thing that I've learned a lot from is the county commissioners, actually in those counties. And I've gotten the habit of, when we have a big project like that, I like to approach them and tell them exactly what I'm doing. I'd like to tell them, and this is something I wanted to bring up because I don't want, especially people that are new in the business, to be anxious or reserved about talking to your county officials to help you out, or let them know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're very familiar with what you're doing. It's
Yeah.
been happening for decades in their county, and you're no different. And I've gotten accustomed to talking to, find your county commissioner and bring them out on the land with you. We go look at that land, and they'll tell you if there's drainage problems. They'll tell you what kind of roads you can build. They'll tell you who their favorite contractors are in the area, who's reliable, who's not reliable. They'll tell you what kind of problems you might encounter with this property. It's amazing what wealth of information they have. So that's been a big part of my subdivision, our subdivision strategy, is talking to county officials, talk to the county engineer, ask them if your subdivision is going to work.
Yeah.
Is it going to take platting requirements to do?
Mm-hmm.
How complicated is it going to be? Are you going to have to go to court and present a case to go get your subdivision approved or not? Both exist.
Yeah.
So those have been some of the, I guess, fun primary research pieces that we've done. And I guess as far as subdivisions go at the moment, let's see what we've got. We've got 890 acres in Washington.
Yep.
Howard knows about that one too, and
Howard is our private investor.
yeah, he's one of our investors. And
I'm loving it. I'm waiting for those checks to start rolling in.
Well, we
Well,
already
they got
told
you
you
down payment.
today, we just got 2 sales this in the past 48 hours, 24 hours.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I knew I was investing with the right guys.
But you got public land that you can access from it, so that's a huge piece.
BLM land, yeah.
Yeah, BLM land. And we've got another one in Waco, which is what we've both been spending a lot of time on that one lately.
Yep.
And that was just you do a subdivision, and we designed it, But some of the, we worked with a water company and the power companies to understand what they can do, and
Mhm.
there's some infrastructure involved.
Oh
But-
yeah, that one was fun one.
Most lessons learned on that one, I'd say.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey,
Is it just me, or is it getting harder and harder to count on a job for our financial security? Who would have ever believed that we would go from the lowest unemployment in 50 years to 40 million people unemployed? Whether you have a great job and want to create a second income, or you're recently unemployed, you need to check out land.mba, your one-stop shop for land investors. Investing in vacant land is a proven business model that can help you build a reliable and scalable second income. Imagine a business where you love what you do. There's no limit on how much money you can make. You can operate your business from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And best of all, you can never be fired or downsized. If this sounds good to you, land.mba provides everything you need to get your business up and running and delivering income quickly. You get education, an end-to-end video course and optional coaching to help you get started faster and turn your energy into income. You get tools so you can automate and outsource the busy work and stay super organized. You get access to a thriving community of like-minded investors, which is a powerful way to share best practices and develop potential partnerships for growing your business. And finally, you get access to deal financing, so you never have to pass on a great investment opportunity due to limited funds. Our team has over a decade of real estate investing experience and has the knowledge and experience you need to help navigate any investing scenario. And with land.mba, we hold nothing back. Because there are no upsells, you get access to all of our combined knowledge right out of the gate. So don't wait to provide your family with financial freedom. Sign up today for land.mba's soup to nuts land investing video course. Just go to courses.land.mba and use coupon code FREEDOM to get 25% off. That's courses.land.mba and coupon code FREEDOM. And let us help you say goodbye to your job and hello to financial freedom.
Hey, real quick, just explain to our audience, because you're talking about subdivisions, and I
Right.
think when people who don't understand your model think about subdivisions, they think about subdividing down to for builders, down to little quarter-acre lots and whatnot. Talk just a little bit about the philosophy behind your little ranchettes that you're creating.
Yeah.
So I guess starting with the buyer in mind, right? When we think of a ranchette, what do people want ultimately? They want, if they want some land that's not in a neighborhood, they want half an acre or more, right? And they want some privacy. Gosh darn it, I don't want to see people, right? So that's one tenant. What can you do to offer privacy? If you got it's a wooded property, it's got great views on a top of a mountain or whatever, it's got great feature, that can fit those kind of things. That fits a ranchette model.
Yeah, let me also take it one step a little bit backward, standing from a land investor perspective, in addition to the buyer's perspective. From a land investor, or sometimes I would consider a land developer perspective, is that ultimately we want to be able to see there is a large difference in price on the per acre unit price of the small lots versus the large lots. The small lots, I'm talking about, say, 5 acres, 10 acres. Those are the small ones in our standard. And the large ones, we're talking about, say, between 100 acres to 1,000 acres, sometimes even bigger. So when we get the funds to buy the large one, and then we subdivide into the smaller tracts, that's where the profit is located. And however, it's complex because it's very different from typical just buying and selling, flipping individual parcels.
Yeah.
It requires you to actually physically go visit the land, check out the topography, the terrain, the soil, and also you need to be very familiar with the county regulations, because whether the county allow you to do that, how do you get past all the processes to get it finally subdivided is a critical piece. So in this instance, I think the county selection is even more important than anything else if you do individual tracts. So that's when we stand from a land investor and land developer perspective. That's quite different mindset than just looking at an individual one single
Just
parcel.
flipping.
Have the satellite view to look at it and then not even visiting it. Sometimes you don't even need photos, but this one we need to. Drew and I, he modified his truck, I modified my SUV to fit our road trips, that we take road trips to actually go visit this large parcels. And we talk to we use a lot of different sources or channels to acquire them. Not only mailing, we do mailing, of course, but we also talk to the local realtors. We check MLS listings, we check all kinds of different sources that we can get hands on the large tracts. So that's quite different strategy than a typical land investing strategy is.
Very good.
Ask you guys a question on this strategy, which is buying large tracts, platting them out, selling smaller ranchettes from that large purchase. Is it simply a matter of subdividing, or do you ever also change the zoning of those ranchettes?
I've never tried to change zoning. And if I did, I'd have to argue it's not worth your time. I'm not an expert on that subject, but I'd have to think getting anything approved governmentally is going to take months and months and months. I mean, I've got a property right now, for example, I'm waiting on TxDOT to come out and redo the ditches so it stops flooding my lot. And I'm on the schedule for 12 months from today to get it done. Yeah. So, I don't, my thinking about that is that, if for something like that, your time and your capital is going to be better served trying to find something that's already zoned the way you want it.
Yeah, it's about the velocity of money.
Exactly.
You can put all these improvements and change zoning, but then your capital's tied up and and you probably not talking about, you're talking about like incremental increase in profit and stuff like that. And maybe even risk it being worse because you're gonna spend your capital's tied up.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
And another way to think about that is we said start with the buyer in mind. With subdivisions, start with the government officials in mind.
Yeah,
Right?
good point.
Well, are you going, if you try to change zoning, are you going to create a problem for them? If you are, they may not like you very much. You may want to talk to them up front and tell them what you plan to do to see how they react.
Yeah.
That's how I would handle that
Yeah,
situation.
exactly.
Right.
So
Exactly.
On that same token, if you can discuss a plan, with your commissioners or your county engineers or your county judge, depending on the county and the state, you can tell them what you want to do and they'll express their concerns to you. And then they're a little bit of like a partner, right? You say, how can I had one, my first subdivision I did on my own. The county judge was the person I talked to. So I met with a judge and a commissioner, and we had a sort of court session where it was just the three of us in a room together in the courthouse, discussing the project. And we got it surveyed and we put roads in, like just dirt roads. And they basically were okay with it as long as we included a statement on the survey that got filed in the county that said the county is not responsible for these roads. As long as I put that in there, everything was gravy and we proceeded.
It's great.
yeah. So, and also how this idea came to form a partnership with me and Drew and Lucas is that I was thinking about this idea and then I draw up the PowerPoint presentation using some of my corporate skill. And then I actually presented at the Landscape Smart Bar that it took place every Tuesday night. So I present that and Lucas called me right away after this meetup and said, "Hey, I'm very interested. I'm in." and then afterward, I was talking with Drew, and that's how everything got started. And the name itself, Elegment Dream Acres, is we take one word from each our own brand name from our land business. So my original land brand is Elegment Land, so we took Elegment. And then Drew is Dreamland Deal, so we took Dream. And then Lucas has acres.com, so we took Acres. So Elegment Dream Acres, signifying that we join forces. So that was a really interesting thing. And then we have been doing, I think it's our number 9 deal or number 10 deal that we kind of lost track. So
it's so funny because anytime you do a partnership, each person's bringing something unique to the table. Yep. And you can just feel it in this partnership. I mean, I can feel the strategy coming out of Xing. I can feel the financial management and coming out of Drew. And I can feel the entrepreneurial act first, ask questions later from Lucas.
Yeah, that's the way to put it.
Yep.
Exactly.
Ready, fire, aim, baby. That's Luke.
We said something funny to Carl the other day. I said, Lucas finds the gold, Xing processes the gold, and I count the gold.
I love it. Yeah. I like to say, that Lucas was one of my coaching students when he got started, and I like to use the term, and he's just perfect candidate because the way I teach is I push you out the plane and make you grow wings on the way down. I make you learn by doing, and because so many people just get too caught up in analysis paralysis, and he's just perfect for that. So, how are you guys? What's you want to talk a little bit about the funding model at all, and
Sure.
how those who might be interested in getting involved with you guys, how that might
Yeah,
work?
sure. So as we grow, right? So quite a lot of the earlier deals, we use our own funds. We use banking. So we get loans from the banks, and we are getting to a point that we would welcome external lenders. So meaning that we are open to other interested land investors or anyone who is interested in becoming our business lending partner. And that way we would be able to collectively to join forces, buy larger parcels, and then everyone enjoy a good return from the projects. So that's what we would be opening up for.
Awesome.
And
And
to
Oh,
reach out to one of us, Drew or me or Lucas, anyone.
And what's the best way to reach you guys?
The best way is probably just send us an email with
Email.
your contact information. The email would be hello@elegment.com, elegment.com. I'll also put it.
And
You also put it in the
it'll be in the show notes
later,
as well.
later. Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
and let me just say that, as an investor in your Washington deal, whenever you have an opportunity like this, obviously you're looking at the situation and the terms. I looked at all of it, kind of. I just, I know these guys. I know Drew. I know Xing. I know Lucas. I know not only are you smart, I know what kind of entrepreneurs you are, but mostly I know what kind of guys you are. And I just said, you know what? There's no doubt in my mind that one, these guys are going to be successful, but more importantly, these are trustworthy guys that I would feel 100% comfortable handling my money, because I know that they're going to make money for me, and they're going to do the right thing. And I just had not even a moment's hesitation. So if anybody listening to this podcast is sitting on a pile of dough, then they don't know what to do with it, I would definitely consider having a chat with Xing or Drew or Lucas and finding out more about this, because these guys are absolutely the real deal.
Yeah, and with kind of the situation with the economy these days, being able to be invested in land at a reduced price is a good place, at very least, to be able to protect your money.
Yeah, I mean, going back to, I'm credited again the same author I talked about at the start of the show, but had another book about hyperinflation and the economy these days, and I mean, that's the topic we talk about it, strategically between ourselves. But another major reason why we prefer this business is because it is you own assets that, number one, banks recognize as hard assets, right? So they have value and can be collateralized. That's very important. And number two is that it's a non-dollar denominated asset. And what that means is that if you experience volatility in a given currency and what that currency values that land upon, it's going to move up and down with the currency. So, from that perspective, if it costs me $1,000 today and it costs me $10,000 inflated dollars 5 years from now, I've retained that value. I haven't lost that purchasing power because I've sunk it in land, and at the time at a very cheap price. So your ROI could be killer in your worst case scenario with dollar problems.
Yeah, and actually, once that happens, the value of that land in nominal terms is going to go up because it's a hard asset. And so you basically are making money three ways now. So first of all, you're buying it low and you're selling it high. So there's one way to make money. Second thing is you're taking large lots and chopping them into small lots, which are more valuable on a per acre basis. So that's the second way to make money. And in the worst case scenario, if you have to hold on to it and there's inflation, it's just going to appreciate in value. So there's a third way to make money.
But wait, there's more. If you have a loan on it, your loan is dollar denominated. So in that worst case scenario,
The inflation will pay your loan.
pay your loan.
Yep.
Yeah. I think so you stole that from the federal government, right?
That being said, that's don't make that your what you hang your hat on. You need
Yeah.
first and foremost, you need to be liquid to make it through the ups and downs. So
And also
Right.
buy road.
and buy
Yeah,
right.
buy
Yeah,
right.
that's the fundamental.
Yeah.
Buy right.
Exactly.
And we talked about secret counties earlier, but the real secret county is in your backyard. You know it best. You can drive to it.
Yeah.
And you can manage it, and you can meet with people.
Yep.
Especially with what you're doing.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That sounds like somebody who lives in Texas, but I'm not sure it translates so well into Connecticut
Yeah. Sorry, man. You need to move west,
or New
dude.
Jersey. And
Well,
by
I
the
would-
way, on that original secret list, there was a county in Connecticut and there was a county in New Jersey, which I looked at, I'm like, okay, this is garbage. I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah,
Very
man.
good.
Awesome.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, anybody have any final thoughts?
No, I I guess my final thought would just be a word of encouragement to just experiment and do it, and just highlighting the point. Listen to your buyer's complaints. It will teach you everything. It's time relevant. It's real. It's candid. Nobody's going to fluff you up like a realtor say, "Oh yeah, that's real nice." But some guy with his family trying to get a little spot to put his mobile home is going to tell you everything he thinks about it, all of his anxieties and concerns.
Yeah.
So listen. So I would definitely encourage people starting out, find some cheap lots, buy some, flip them, and learn from it. It's like riding a bike. You just have to do it. You can research it to death, but the best due diligence is hearing from your buyers,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. And that just leads into one other key point, about the persistence part and keeping on mailing. When you first start, everybody wants to make some money, but don't expect to hit home runs or even doubles on when you first start. Get 10 deals under your belt and learn, and just hit base hits, because the more you do it, the more opportunity you're going to have for doubles, triples, and home runs. And they happen every now and then. But if you just, are really good being a good little Rod Carew and spanking those base hits, you're going to, and you're persistent, you're going to keep at it, be persistent. You're going to find greater and greater success and become like these two incredible entrepreneurs. Gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for being with us.
For sure.
This was, I think, one of the best, most enjoyable podcasts that I've had.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Great value to our audience too.
Guys, great talking to you as always. Keep up the great work. Look forward to those checks starting to roll in from your great success, and looking forward to the next opportunity I can participate in. So wishing you guys the greatest of success.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
Thanks, Howard.
See you, Howard.
Adios.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA podcast.